Hello, my name is Jacqueline. I am a corporate flight attendant / current stay-at-home flight attendant, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we get into the video, I just want to bring something up. A bunch of you guys have let me know that YouTube has unsubscribed you from my channel. So double check now, make sure that you are currently subscribed. And if you're not, now would be the perfect time to do so. Right now, I am just getting ready to hop onto a conference call. It's our monthly safety meeting, and normally we would have these in the hangar between the pilots and the flight attendants, but due to the time, we're having it on a virtual call. Earlier this week, I spoke with the other flight attendants in our work group, and we just wanted to see if we had anything else to contribute to this safety meeting. But the flight attendants came to the conclusion that since we haven't been flying and since we covered all of our new best practices moving forward, there wasn't any new information to bring to the call. So what I am assuming is we're gonna hear a lot of the pilots' best practices right now. Of course, if the flight attendants do have anything to share, I will certainly share that info with you guys as well. All right, so our meeting is over. I took notes. There are a few things that I want to share with you guys. Flight attendants did get updates. It wasn't solely focused on the pilot group. So this call was super long. We had our European operation on the call too. So it was nice to see everyone. We don't often get to mix with them just because they're doing their thing in Europe. We're doing our thing here in the States or wherever we end up flying to. So the call was very long, but it was very informative and very beneficial. So there's really two things that I want to share in regards to the flight attendant job and not just the operation in general. Obviously, we covered a ton, but the two things that I definitely want to share with you guys. So some of the pilot group thinks at a minimum, everyone needs to be in a mask. Now, this becomes a problem if our day is long and we need to eat on board or just for the obvious dehydration. So if you have a mask on during flight and you're taking it off to drink water so you don't get dehydrated and sick on the plane, it kind of defeats the purpose of wearing a mask. So a happy medium that we came to is whenever you're boarding or deplaning or going through the FBO, passengers and flight crew will have masks on. Something else that was brought up, so I've mentioned to you guys that flight attendants are strictly going to use catering and we're not going to be doing a ton of cooking on our own just because in catering situations, they're prepared for this sort of thing and they have a sterile environment to work in and they're taking extra precaution. But we have determined if catering is misproperly handled or shows up tampered with, that we're going to have protein bars and meal replacement shakes on board for our passengers. So hopefully we don't find ourselves in a situation like that, but if we do, we have a backup plan. So that's really everything from the flight attendant side that I wanted to share with you. Oh, you know what? Actually, it's not. I had a moment on the call. So in our European operations, they were saying on corporate planes, flight attendants aren't really flying right now unless there's over 19 passengers and they're required to be on board. So I take a lot of offense to that, because my job is not a waitress job. I'm there for safety. And I know in the US, a lot of commercial flights have suspended doing food service, but there's still flight attendants on board to assist if there's a medical situation or an emergency situation with the airplane. So I very strongly feel I need to be on an airplane when the airplane starts flying again. And my colleagues here in the States also agreed with that. We are all FAA certified flight attendants. We are not corporate cabin attendants. So we have the training for emergency situations. And even if our passengers aren't comfortable eating the food that's served, they'll be more comfortable having us on board because we're trained to deal with unfortunate and unusual circumstances. So after we had this whole conversation, I know the US side wants flight attendants on board. They've always wanted it, like even before COVID became a thing and person-to-person exposure wasn't really thought about as much. We've always wanted to have flight attendants on board, and I feel like maybe the European side is realizing it's important to have us on board too. But whatever their opinions are, flight attendants are going to be required for all of our flights when we start flying again. So that meeting was long. I am starving. And a while ago, I posted just an oatmeal shot on my Instagram stories. And I'm going to show you how I make my morning oatmeal now. All right, these are all of my key players. I love blackberries, so I've got some blackberries and bee pollen. I don't know if you guys have tried this before, but sprinkled over berries, it just really enhances the flavor. Plus it creates a great texture. It's visually pleasing, which is important when you're plating food. So some bee pollen. Then I've got my steel cut oats, a bag of hemp hearts. If you guys haven't tried these, it's just got like a nutty taste and again, texture. Keeps things interesting. I really enjoy these. And some chia seeds. So right now I'm gonna get the oatmeal cooking and I will show you how I plate everything. I forgot to show you guys this. I always add this RX butter, vanilla almond butter. This stuff is so delicious. All right, my oats are done cooking and I'm gonna show you how I plate it both for myself and on the airplane. So as you can see, I have my hemp seeds and my chia seeds out, just making lines directly onto the oatmeal. And then you really need to knead these packets just because the oil separates. But I like to draw a design onto the oatmeal and it's easy to do when you're using one of these packets. It's more of a controlled pour or controlled design. So I've just done a little almond butter swirl on top of the entire plate. I mean, it's not really the entire plate. I've mentioned before the importance of having clean borders when you're plating food, so it's directly on top of the oatmeal. So now I've placed my blueberries down and I sprinkled the bee pollen over them, and you can see just the contrast of the yellow with the deep purple of the blueberries just is very visually pleasing. When I make this oatmeal on board for my passengers, I always put a red berry in there too. Typically it's raspberries. Just a personal preference, I don't like raspberries, so that's why I have the blueberries today. And then I would put a fresh mint garnish on top and serve it to my passengers. So there's a few instant oatmeals that I like to make when I'm on the plane. Pacific Foods has one where you just open the container and throw it in an oven or a microwave and it's ready to go. Or you can use a dry oat like I did at my house and add milk or water, however you feel like preparing it, and use the microwave in the airplane galley. So now it's time to eat. It's time to destroy my lovely creation, mix it all up, and have some breakfast. I'm done with my oatmeal. It is like 11:20-ish, and my friend Erin sent me a link. We are gonna do a virtual cardio kickboxing class here at noon. So I'm about to get changed and get ready for some virtual kickboxing. Luckily, I gave myself plenty of time to digest. So if you guys make the oatmeal, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching this flight attendant update video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. If you guys have questions, comments, thoughts, or concerns, post them down below and I'll be in touch when I can. Thanks again for watching, guys.